Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Check it out. We're going to do a quick video here and we're going to talk about this, right? We're going to talk about semi-automatic and we're going to talk about revolvers, and we're actually going to have this conversation based on the simple fact that it's 2020, right? But we also going to talk about this because I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, a person that I love, a person that I respect, a person that is just a great person in my opinion. And I wanted to do this just to bring a little bit of attention before he makes the decision on which one to get. Should I get a revolver or should I get again, a semi-automatic pistol, or once again, bring something to his knowledge that may not think about it, right? Some of you guys are gun guys and some of you guys are, I can't, you guys are like me. You guys think about this. You got shotguns, all that stuff. But there's people out there that they just don't that much. So they need this kind of information. So here's the favor that I need you guys to do. First of all, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let me put my subscribe to the channel right here. Bam. Subscribe to the channel. I appreciate that. Share the videos. Share the videos is one of the best things you can do for the channel. I definitely appreciate that as well. Obviously, if you want to be part of the community here and you want to support the channel, I appreciate my patrons. My patrons are, love my patrons. They pretty much give me money every month so I could come here and do videos like this, and obviously they help me support the channel. They are awesome. If you're a patron of the Jarhead Sick channel, just know that I'm blessed to have you, and I'm just so appreciated. I'm humble that you make the decision to help me do the channel. So let's hit the intro. Let's point out a couple things that I want to talk about this, and again, put comments down below. Yeah, let's do this. Let's do it. Let's do it. And let's come here. First of all, I'm going to tell you something. None of this is a bad idea. And let me kind of, talk about it real quick before I get into the meat and potatoes, right? If you get a revolver or if you get a semi-automatic pistol, this is fantastic, right? You're going to be well armed and you're going to be able to defend your family. So a lot of times we get into the debate, and I don't want this to be a debate, right? A lot of times we get into the fight, into the argument, into what is better. And I'm going to tell you, that's not what I'm looking for, right? Every system out there has great capabilities, and every system out there has not so great capabilities, right? Look, this right here, right? Semi-automatic is good, but this pistol is a double action, single action pistol. Again, you got a double action, single action pistol, right? Now your typical Glock that shoots striker fire. So again, some people will argue about this, and some people will say striker fire is better. Again, the point is not to argue on which one is better in a way. Both guns are going to allow you to protect your family, right? If you're looking to protect your family and you get a gun, that's the best way. A gun is the way to do it because, again, the criminal, the bad guy, is coming in the middle of the night. He knows your car is parked outside. He knows that you're inside the house, and he's coming to do something bad. So it's now that you have a gun. Again, it's now that you have a gun to protect yourself. It's that you have the best weapon for the job. You get it? That's the point right there. It's the best weapon for the job because you may have 6 rounds and you may be facing a bad guy with 17 rounds, and that's not what you have. What you want is to have the advantage, again, the advantage over the bad guy. So you want to get the best gun that you can, right? And I'm going to tell you, there's some things that typically you take in consideration, right? So again, when it comes to home defense, again, guys, we're talking about a home defense handgun, right? Revolvers versus semi-automatic, right? We're not talking about a shotgun, AR. All those are great choices as well. In this case, we're talking about a revolver versus a semi-automatic pistol, right? So again, you want to have the best gun for the job. You want to have the one that gives you the more capability. And I'm going to tell you, 2020, wow, man. I mean, I'm gonna get into a couple things that I want to mention for some of you guys why this is better. I'm gonna get into a couple things why this is better, and again, some of the pros and some of the cons. And again, all this information is gonna come out of this. the brain housing group, right? So I'm counting with you guys to put comments down below. So let's get into a revolver real quick here. This is a Smith & Wesson 642, and obviously this gun has been cleared and all that stuff. And I'm gonna tell you, I love this revolver. I love it. I think it's just such an awesome gun. And I actually carry this. This belongs to little brother, but I actually carry this for a little bit of time, and little brother loves it. He carried this as well a lot. He actually is carrying one of my revolvers, the EAA Windicator, right now, and he kind of left this one in my gun safe. So I took the opportunity to show it to you guys, and taking the opportunity to once again make a video. He has this right here, which I don't even know what this is. 38 special. Again, I'm not really even sure on what kind of round this is or whatever. Actually asking what it is, right? So, but again, I'm going to tell you, I shot plenty of rounds with this gun to let you know what I think and give you an opinion. And the first thing that I'm going to tell you is that this gun, and specifically this one, this little ones with, with a short barrel and things like that, are difficult to shoot. Very, very difficult. And the reason why I'm going to mention that is because the individual that I'm talking about, I'm not going to say his name, obviously, for his own, his I guess his privacy. But he's looking at an ultralight revolver. And if you're looking at an ultralight revolver, you got to keep in mind that they are difficult to shoot because they weigh nothing, right? They weigh nothing. And the fact that they don't weigh anything, it makes him very, very light, which is fantastic to carry. Fantastic. I mean, it's not going to be heavy at all. But the problem with it is that there is nothing to hold the recoil, right? So when you shoot this gun, it's just not going to be enjoyable. Really not going to be enjoyable. And I'm going to tell you, little revolvers like this are not enjoyable at all. So I guess in a way, some of the big ones, I shot a couple of Smith & Wessons and things like that. The I think it's the K frame, if I remember correctly. They are really nice to shoot. And if you get like a 357 Magnum and you put some 38 rounds or 38 special, again, that's going to be something that is going to be really nice to shoot because they are, they're really, really heavy. And again, they hold that recoil a little bit more. And I'm going to tell you, they are fantastic. Revolvers like that are fantastic, but you have an issue. They're heavy. For home defense, I'm not really worried about the weight. But one thing that I would tell you is that those type of revolvers are very expensive. So you're looking at a Smith & Wesson, maybe some of the Taurus and things like that, but you're looking to spend a lot of money. And what are you getting, right? Because, again, if you spend $700 for a revolver, you could buy a Glock or a ZZ P07. I don't remember how much I paid for this gun, but obviously I want to say it was like $500 or something like that. So you're going to look at more money for what you're going to get, right? So again, we're talking about, guys, generally speaking, all right, there's a generally speaking kind of terminology here that I'm talking about. Obviously, there are some revolvers out there that may not be as expensive. Like I said, the Taurus, they sound to be not too expensive, but generally speaking, we're looking at some of the big revolvers that are, 357 and things like that. We're looking at them to be kind of expensive. Again, little revolvers like the 642, I believe the 442 and things like this. These revolvers right here are not too expensive, but again, very, in my opinion, very difficult to shoot because it's light. Now, one of you guys is going to argue with me and going to tell me, no, they're not. All you do is put rounds in there, and again, you press the trigger and you engage, right? I don't want to press the trigger. It's not really recommended a lot of times to press the trigger on a revolver. That's not necessarily true. This trigger right here is so heavy that it's just, again, crazy heavy. And again, the pistol is so light that it's going to have a lot of recoil and you're not going to enjoy it. So the problem with not enjoying to shoot a platform is that if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to, you're not going to go to the range and put a bunch of rounds down range, right? First of all, 38 tends to be more expensive than the 9mm. Right? So if you get a home defense pistol that is a 9mm, you're going to tend to shoot this more because it's more affordable, and you're going to tend to shoot it more and enjoy more Again, because it's easy to shoot, right? I mean, you could go to the range and put a bunch of rounds down range and enjoy your life and have a great time. I'm going to tell you, this 42 right here, I shot plenty of rounds, and this is not enjoyable. Really not. Not enjoyable. You're not going to like it. So, again, really light. It means that it's easy to carry, but the recoil is just not there, in my opinion. It's not going to hold that recoil well, and it's going to be a pain in the butt to shoot it. You're not going to enjoy it. Really heavy trigger. And again, you got this sights right here. As you can see, they're pretty short. We actually paint this one with some kind of orange paint, but really short. And as you can see, you barely have sights back here. Now, to be fair, this revolver in particular. There's all the revolvers out there that have nice size, have great size, are heavy, so they're easy to shoot and all that stuff. I totally get that, but like I say, the problem with some of those revolvers are great, but they are expensive. They tend to be very, very expensive. So if you're on a budget, obviously, getting something like a semi-automatic pistol such as this may be a better choice. And I'm going to tell you the biggest thing when it comes down to home defense, why I'm not going with the revolver, is going to be the capacity. Capacity, guys. Capacity. I'm going to talk about this all day long. Capacity. Capacity. I mean, I can say it all day long. You want to have a good capacity to face multiple attackers. Multiple. So, once again, let's think about this. When it comes down to concealed carry, let me move this out of the way, right? I kind of have like a philosophy when it comes to this. Concealed carry, you have to worry about how heavy the pistol is. How well does it conceal? Is it going to be a dependable, accurate, all that stuff? Which, by the way, guys, before I continue, let me not mention this. Whatever gun you decide to get, let's remember this. It needs to be dependable. It needs to be reliable. It needs to be a proven platform. So essentially what I mean is that make sure that has been around for quite some time. You don't need to get something that just came out in the market. You don't need to do that. You could get a pistol that has been in the market for a long time. ZZ pistols. This gun is fantastic because this gun has been in the market for years. The Smith & Wesson 642 and the 442, they are fantastic pistols because, again, they have been in the market for a long time and they're just great guns, right? So, again, you have a respectable company with a respectable firearm that has a proving or a track record, and, they're great guns. We know that because, we know that, right? So, again, I was making a point. I was making a point before that. I forgot what I was going to say, but I think I was talking about the 9mm or something. But again, you want to have a gun that capacity. Man, thank you, Lord. Capacity, all right? So capacity is important because you want to be able to address multiple targets, right? Multiple people. You want to have that. So again, we talked about having the best firearm for the job. You want to defend your family, so you want to have the best. I talk about dependency or dependable. I talked about having a company that is out there that has a track record, all those things. But you want to have something that has a great capacity. And the reason why is because you just don't know, guys. You don't know how many guys are coming. You don't know what situation you're going to get into it. And if in any chance you get into a fight, even if it's one criminal, just one criminal, you want to have the best gun for the money, the best. You want to have what's better, right? That's the whole philosophy of the military and any fight out there, right? First of all, you don't want to get in a firefight. You don't want to do it. But if you do, you want to have a better weapon than the other guy. So, again, looking at a revolver, we're looking at 6 rounds or 5 rounds. In some cases, we're looking about 5 rounds like this one, right? We're looking at 17 rounds on this firearm. That's insane, guys. All right. The tactical model has the plus 2. So usually comes with 15 rounds. Obviously, this is the tactical or the suppressed model. And obviously, this one comes with a plus 2. So, again, we're looking at 5 versus 17. There is an issue there, right? The issue is big. We're looking at about 12 rounds more. 12 rounds more is what could potentially save your life. So right there, the capacity is telling me that when it comes to concealed carry, excuse me, not concealed carry, home defense, I want to have as many rounds as I can. Because I'm going to tell you, if you find yourself in a fight and you need to reload this gun, it's not as simple, and I'm going to tell you this right now, it's not as simple to reload a revolver than a semi-automatic. Now, some of you guys are going to say, well, you know what? With a lot of training, you could get it really fast. I totally get that. Training is the critical element to survive. You need to have training. In fact, I'm gonna take it one step back, right? If you are a trained individual, you're probably gonna do better with this than non-training with this. I don't care. If you are a trained individual, a guy that literally knows your gun, you are there training every single week. You're putting rounds down range. You're doing what you're supposed to do. I'm going to tell you right now, this revolver right here would do you better. You are more deadly with this revolver than pretty much many guns that I have in there. Many. Right? So, again, that's just something to keep in mind. Like I made a video recently and I was talking about don't have too many guns. If you want to, of course, for, self-defense or no, actually collection kind of style, you like to collect weapons. I love weapons as well. Just go for it. But what I was trying to make the point is that make sure you pick one, whichever it is, and become a master in one of those two platforms. If you become a master in any of those two platforms, I'm going to tell you, you're going to be just fine. But capacity is a big deal. We're talking about 12 rounds more than this. And again, even if you get a big, a full-size revolver, you don't have the capacity that you're going to have on a semi-automatic. And that is an issue because, once again, you can address more targets, more issues with a semi-automatic pistol. The capacity is taking the revolver out. Is taking the revolver out. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to upload. Think about this. By the time that you reload this weapon, 5 plus 5 plus 5, you reload this weapon so many times that a guy with this doesn't even have to reload, right? So, again, it's one of those things that I want to point out. I'm going to tell you, one of the things as I was talking to to this person, I said, why a revolver? He asked me, I want to get a revolver for not conceal carry, excuse me, for home defense. And my first question was, he asked me which one. I said, why a revolver? Why a revolver, right? And the biggest reason is because of the capacity. And then he replied to me, he says, they don't jam. And, let's talk about that. Typically, and some of you guys are great revolver guys. I know I got a couple of you guys out there that love revolver. And don't get me wrong, guys. I love revolvers. I think they're fantastic. But once again, we're trying to get the best weapon for the job. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the best weapon to survive a situation. And if you're one of those guys out there say, I could do it with a revolver, you know what? More power to you. You give me this thing, and I could do it with a revolver too. So, again, but, we are dudes that are trained, dudes that are continuing to improve ourselves. People out there don't do this, right? But again, I was like, why a revolver? The capacity is a huge deal. A huge deal. So I want to point out, and again, let me take it back. I kind of got off track. But the whole jamming system. Yes, revolvers tend to be very, very accurate, and no doubt about that. They tend to be very not accurate, well, accurate as well, but I'm saying dependable to the point that they typically tend to fire. But that's not necessarily true. There have been many situations with a revolver. Again, a revolver has issues. It has potentially, most likely, usually they have issues with ammunition, right? They have issues with ammunition and things like that. And again, obviously they have kind of lost my my chain of thoughts here. Apologize about that. But again, that normally they are very, very dependable, and typically speaking, every time you hit the trigger, it's going to go bang, right? Typically speaking. But there is some cases. The good thing about it is that it's very, very easy to, kind of like remedial action is go ahead, or immediate action to press the trigger again. So I could see that. But remember, if one round misfire, one round doesn't go off, or whatever it is, you only got 5. And we go back to that capacity, which is something that we got to keep in mind. Now, one thing, or another thing that I want to mention is this right here. You ready for it? Bang. Weapon slide. Weapon slide. Now, let me, TLR1, A shell, this slide been with me for so many years. Look how dirty it is, right? So, again, this could be put into this, right? Normally speaking, revolvers don't have a weapon slide. Now, one of you guys are going to tell me that they do. Some of them do, and some of them do, right? There's revolvers out there that have a rail to be able to put a light, right? But again, those type of revolvers are not commonly out there. And if you find one, we're talking about revolvers that cost a lot of money. So you're talking about a lot of money. Typically speaking, revolvers don't have a rail to mount a light. And to me, this thing right here is necessary for home defense. Necessary. Don't disregard the light for home defense. I know some of you guys complain. I said, well, I have a handheld. Well, I'm going to tell you what, a handheld is great, but I said both. Not one or the other one. I say both. You should get both light. They do just fine. So, here's the thing. Obviously, being kind of dogging on the revolvers, semi-automatic pistols, obviously you have some issues as well that you need to learn. But again, typically they are less expensive, more affordable. And again, it's nothing that you cannot learn. Yes, there's maybe a little bit more moving parts. Obviously, insert magazine, racket. Again, this one has a hammer, but get sun, right? Pull the trigger and get sun. If you have an issue, you may have to remove a magazine, racket, do all that thing. You know what I'm talking about. But again, it's things that you could easily learn. And if you're willing to get a gun, you have to be willing to do some training. So I know that a lot of times this may seem more complicated than this, right? This, just by looking at it, it seems like it's an easier firearm. But I'm going to tell you the biggest issues that I have with this is that the capacity is minimum. And if you go for ultra light, like this individual was talking about, they are very, very difficult to shoot. If you go for one that is, a K-frame or something big, now you're talking about a lot of money. But in 2020, I think that we need to stick with semi-automatic based on one concept alone, based on the fact that 17 rounds is necessary for home defense. Truly, truly necessary, in my opinion. Now, I'm going to tell you, all this that I just talked about are my opinion. Fabian, you have your own opinion. Be respectful and put it down in the comment section below. I just wanted to come up here. I'm not trying to be a master or anything like that, a subject matter expert or anything. It's just a couple things that I think that we should take in consideration, and I love to hear you guys' opinion. Again, not dugging on the revolvers, because I'm going to tell you, man, I love revolvers, and just recently I was saying how much I want to buy a new one because I think they're cool. I think they're fun to shoot. I think they are very, very effective. But once again, for home defense, I don't know about that. I take 17 rounds over 5 rounds all the time. And I'm going to tell you, somebody's going to say this. Somebody's going to say, yeah, but that 357 could take care of business. No doubt about that. But you know what? 357 or 5 rounds of 357s does not equal, in my opinion, to 17 rounds of 9mm. Yeah, 357 is more deadly and could do a lot of damage, but I got 12 more rounds to address 12 more issues on this pistol. Let me bring it back here. Appreciate you guys' support. You guys are fantastic. Stay tuned for more videos. I really, really appreciate you guys. And as always, God is in control.